Night used to arrive early in the village of Ala, as if darkness itself knew sorrow lived there. The moon would climb slowly, watching huts of red clay and thatch roofs curl into silence, and in one of those huts lived a girl whose name was Nkiru. Her mother had died when Nkiru was small, carried away by a sickness the elders said came on the back of an angry wind. Not long after, her father brought another woman into the compound. The woman arrived with 2 daughters of her own, and a heart hardened like old leather left too long in the sun. When Nkiru's father joined the ancestors, the last thread protecting her snapped quietly, without sound. From that day, Nkiru stopped being called by her name. She became that girl. Before the first cock crowed, she was awake. She swept the compound until the earth showed its skin, fetched water while stars still clung to the sky, and cooked meals she was rarely allowed to taste. Her stepmother, Madame Ulawaku, believed kindness spoiled children. Her daughters, Amaka and Ngozi, believed beauty was a right meant only for them. If food was scarce, Nkiru ate last. If blame was needed, Nkiru wore it. If punishment was required, Nkiru received it. Yet her spirit did not rot. She spoke gently to fire when she cooked, thanking it for its heat. She greeted trees when she passed them, and they answered by leaning their shade toward her. At night, when hunger gnawed at her belly, she whispered stories to the moon, believing it listened because it never interrupted. One evening, Madame Ulawaku pushed a wooden bowl toward her. "Take this," she said. "A stranger waits at the old footpath near the forest. Give him food, and do not come back asking questions." The bowl held little, leftover yam, palm oil already cooling, and vegetables cut without care. Nkiru bowed her head and lifted it. She did not know why her stepmother's eyes gleamed with something sharp, but she felt the air thicken, as if the ancestors were holding their breath. The forest path was quiet. Crickets stitched the night together with sound. Then she saw him. He sat on a fallen log, dust on his feet, cloak worn, face tired like a man who had walked farther than his body wished. His eyes lifted when he sensed her presence, and in that moment, something unseen passed between them, swift and heavy, like a drumbeat heard once and never forgotten. "Good evening," Nkiru said softly. The stranger stood, bowing slightly. "Good evening, daughter of the land." She placed the bowl before him. "My mother sent food." He smiled, but sadness lived behind it. "Then your mother is kind." Nkiru said nothing. She had learned silence was safer than truth. The man ate slowly, respectfully, as if each bite was a gift. When he finished, he looked at her more closely, not with hunger or judgment, but with recognition, the way elders look at children whose names they already know. "You could have kept some for yourself," he said. She shrugged. "Hunger that is shared becomes lighter." The stranger laughed quietly, surprised. "Who taught you that?" "The earth," she replied. "It gives even when we take too much." The wind stirred, carrying the smell of leaves and distant rain. The stranger's gaze deepened, and his heart shifted inside his chest. He felt it, clear and sudden. This was not desire born of beauty alone, though she was beautiful in a way hardship could not erase. This was knowing, the kind that arrives before thought. "What is your name?" he asked. "Nkiru." He repeated it, slowly, as if tasting it. "Nkiru." In the distance, a horn sounded, low, royal, unmistakable. The stranger stiffened. From the trees emerged men bearing spears polished by care, their movements disciplined, their eyes sharp. They knelt. "My prince," one said. Nkiru's breath caught. The stranger turned to her, no longer hiding who he was. Prince Obinna, heir to the great kingdom beyond the hills, stood before her, dust still on his feet, humility still in his eyes. He knelt too. "Nkiru," he said, voice steady but alive with something fierce. I have traveled many villages seeking a wife chosen not by pride or gold, but by the ancestors. Tonight, they led me to you." The world tilted. She stepped back. "My lord, there must be a mistake." "There is none," he replied. "My heart recognized you before my mind did." Behind the trees, unseen but watching, Madame Uluwaku froze. Her daughters clutched her wrapper as jealousy coiled like a snake in their bellies. The prince rose. "Tomorrow I will return with my elders. Prepare yourself." Before Nkiru could speak, he placed a carved bracelet in her palm, warm as living skin. Then he turned and vanished into the forest with his guards, leaving silence roaring behind him. That night, sleep avoided the compound. Madame Uluwaku raged. She accused Nkiru of witchcraft, of trickery, of seducing royalty with hidden charms. Her daughters wept loudly, cursing fate and earth and stars. At dawn, the prince returned. Drums announced him before eyes could see him. Elders walked beside him, their staffs heavy with authority. The entire village gathered, breath held tight. The prince pointed. "It is her." Madame Uluwaku pushed her daughters forward, dressing them in borrowed beads, forcing smiles onto their faces. The elders watched silently as the prince shook his head. "My heart does not lie," he said, "nor do the ancestors." One elder stepped forward, voice deep. "Let the test be done." A calabash of sacred water was brought. Each maiden dipped her hands. When Amaka tried, the water darkened. When Ngozi tried, it spilled. When Nkiru stepped forward, trembling, the water glowed softly, reflecting moonlight though it was morning. A murmur rolled through the crowd. Madame Uluwaku collapsed to her knees. The prince took Nkiru's hands, lifting her gently. "From this day, you are no longer bound to suffering. Will you walk beside me as my wife?" Tears fell, not of pain but of release. She nodded. That evening, as the sun bled into the horizon, the girl who once fed a stranger became the woman chosen by destiny, and the village learned what the ancestors had always known. That kindness given in silence echoes louder than cruelty shouted aloud. And so it is told.